Hello, and welcome to Quest Complete. Today's topic is difficulty in video games. And I'm joined by my co-host, Benjamin.
Yo.
That's Benny. And today we're joined by the lovely, the infamous, the belligerent Revan.
Howdy doody, everybody.
And Revan, never mind. So, what are we starting off with, Benny?
Why did you just okay, that's fair.
Revan, where would the people on the internet find you?
You can find me here on Discord.
Alright, so links to Revan's Discord in the description of the video. You'll see an ad on the screen right about now, right about somewhere here-ish. Yeah, there you go. Okay, go ahead and click on that. That's definitely Revan's Discord profile. So,
100%.
Benny, what did you want to start with today?
Um,
Benny needs a minute, folks.
no, I'm good. I can go. So honestly, one of the things that I think gets thrown around too much is when something's like unfun difficulty for somebody, they'll say it's artificial because
Right.
they just don't jive with it. And because we're monster people, one of the first things I kind of want to address is because this is something that I felt too, is that Elytrion is not artificial difficulty. Like that kind of design is not artificial. It's a different kind of difficulty design, right? But it's
No,
been-
absolutely.
It was laid
Yeah.
in place before Elytrion. Like it's there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like
Just on
that
their scale.
stems from them mainly not, like, pushing people to run elemental builds, mainly because Raw was so good in base game. I feel like that's where a lot of that resentment comes from.
Yeah, and that
This is
definitely shows. Oh, sorry.
Nah, sorry. Yeah, like I saw plenty of people running like the rocket-powered greatsword and all that. So it's understandable that people would want to stick with Raw and think that it's still going to be more viable in the expansion.
No, and it's absolutely like they even nerfed the non-elemental boost, but like a lot of endgame builds were still Raw builds, even with it dropping from 10 to 5%.
Also, I will say one thing is it's like I feel like the developers have a right to make optional content more difficult and have hurdles that will challenge the player to think differently and build differently. Because post game, if you played the game at a reasonable rate, so you're choosing your difficulty this way, right? By not
Oh,
preparing.
absolutely.
Preparing.
Yeah.
Which is very good for natural difficulty because it's in your hands, right? You can choose how bad it is for you. But if you go at a reasonable rate, you can totally make an elemental build that works for Elytrion. You just have to do it. You can't just go in with what you have.
Yeah, no, all the tools are there. Like, the element decos are only one slots. Like, it's not a hard thing to do.
So I get it that it's not for everyone, but it's not artificial. I do think it is well designed. You could say you don't like it. That's
No,
fair.
and that is totally fair. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it fits within the pre-established parameters of that game. Like, Elytrion doesn't do anything that's quote-unquote bullshit. Like, I mean, yeah, the Eschaton, I'm not gonna lie, like, kind of bullshit, but it's completely avoidable.
I really don't hate it anymore.
Yeah.
Like I really think it's totally like even if I had to use pre-Elytrion equipment, I still would be able to beat him.
Oh, absolutely. Well, yeah, well, Safi Jiva dropped before Elytrion did.
I didn't even use that, and I could beat him.
Yeah.
Probably.
Ah, yeah, well, all my anti-Elytrion builds are Safi builds, because the Safi set bonus breaks the elemental cap, so it makes those checks a lot easier to get.
I mean, and they did put out Frostfang Barrioth to also
Oh, that is
yeah.
true.
help people as well,
Oh yeah.
even though Frostfang came out after Elytrion.
Well,
yeah, but
still,
going back with those weapons, damn.
absolutely. No, all of those weapons are good. And they're also just straight up good raw weapons. High affinity, really good raw. And they have some ice element on them, too. They're not bad weapons at all.
They give you ways to prepare for it, so that's why I think
Yeah.
people are too harsh on stuff like that. Do you guys have any examples of that where you feel like people have like labeled something as artificial difficulty just because that they couldn't figure it out and it was too hard for them?
For me personally, it'd probably be Dark Souls 1. That's a very popular term to describe that game. Mainly because it's like, it teaches you through the mistakes you make. Like, you're going to make mistakes. That's part of the game, you know? But the thing is that it's designed in a way that you learn from that failure. But a lot of people get caught up on the failure and don't bother to learn that, oh, that's why I made a mistake. Like, they can't seem to accept that like it was their fault. It's not the game intentionally trying to like kill them, that they made a mistake as a player. The thing is, you learn from that, and that thing doesn't catch you anymore.
Hmm.
That is fair. That is fair.
No, that's like just I mean that's not just Dark Souls 1, that's like Dark Souls as a whole.
Well, in Monster Hunter, the knowledge, like having that knowledge check and actually passing it,
That is
is
true.
always dopamine hit.
No, and also Monster Hunter it gets a +1 on that because they also have the Hunter Notes, which also explains a lot of stuff. Rather than Bloodborne being like, just figure it out, you know?
Which
There's
are
no
both,
like manual to be all like, hey, don't stand on that thing, it'll shoot you with an arrow.
which one is definitely a valid way to challenge the player, but just some people are gonna find that horrendous.
Indeed.
So, how about you, Revan?
Okay, so for me, mine would have to go back to Monster Hunter. Well, it's not me personally, but I know a friend who had tons of trouble with Safi and just kept calling it unfair and whatnot because he didn't understand the fight. No matter how many times I tried to explain it to him and whatnot. And he would just be so stubborn about it and just continuously not run anything that could help him. And it was just like I understand where he's coming from. Like he's dead set and wanting to do it his way and not wanting to learn the fight.
Yeah, and to be fair, I completely understand it as well as disagreeing, right? Because the game basically empowers you to be like, pick your own builds and feel super comfortable with them and like be really strong and stuff like that. So when a game basically goes, you're gonna need to change to be able to do this well, it's frustrating because you're like, but I want to use the thing I just poured hours into doing, so I don't really want to change right now, right?
Right.
But it's like that's kind of one of the ways Monster Hunter challenges you. It's not just the monster; it's the preparation and the equipment. If it doesn't challenge you in that way, then it's kind of shallow. So doing the both, kind of how difficulty works in Monster Hunter.
No, and you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Like, the thing is with World is that you get so much customization, like, when you have to stop doing what you're most comfortable with and what you're used to, like, it's kind of a slap in the face, but being able to adapt and overcome's, like, a big part of, especially, like, Monster Hunter in general, is like, well, if this guy's giving me a bunch of trouble, make a counter build. Don't make, like, a kill it build, make a counter build.
Mm.
So that's a good way to like customize the difficulties. Like, oh man, this guy slapped me around a lot. Well, throw in some recovery up, throw in some divine blessing, do like some evade extenders so you get out of his way, you know?
Did you ever end up beating him with him?
I did not know. He ended up stop playing the game.
It like entirely?
Yep.
Wow.
Ah, that's fair.
I mean, he got all the way through the base game and then stopped at Safi?
Yeah.
Damn.
That's rough, man.
It is what it is. Like I
It
understand where you're coming from though. Like that's another thing too is that there is artificial difficulty and then there's people that make artificial difficulty for themselves.
Yeah.
That is true. And then that goes
Yeah.
back to the Dark Souls problem of like they make it themselves because they don't learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the thing that I said about being like it's the choose your own difficulty thing, and he chose extra hard mode basically. So
Essentially, yeah. Like in my mind, artificial difficulty is when like the game goes outside its pre-established like what everything is supposed to do and kind of just like pulls one over on you. Like you were talking about like some fighting game bosses, Ben, like last night that were like crazy dumb. Do you got any good examples of those?
Well, the first one that comes to mind is Extreme Nago and Guilty Gear. So I have extensive knowledge of the actual character Nago, right? I've played him a shit ton. I know most of the matchups. I know how he functions. I know what's invincible. I know what's not invincible.
Yeah.
And he has, I think the biggest example is he has a mode called Blood Rage, right? Where it's like if you use too many specials, which you can do special to special canceling, which is really strong. But the counterbalance is you go into a state where it's a huge startup, so someone can come up and throw you or hit you in the beginning of that, and your health constantly decreases until the state is done. And his health, I don't think it decreases when it's in that. And he gets invincible startup on non-invincible startup moves. At least 3 of them I can count. And just
Yeah, no.
just
And in my mind, that is definitely artificial difficulty. Because you know the character and you know when it's being bullshit.
it's not playing the same game anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the general consensus is like, it just, you really should look at it and be like, okay, well, this is, is this pre-established or not, right? Did this game prepare me for it, right?
Yeah.
So has it like showed me how to deal with this? Has it prepared me to deal with this? And if it hasn't, then it is kind of in a way, you know?
Oh, exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, when
But
it
I
comes
don't know.
to stuff like that, I feel like DMC5 is a really good example because there are some enemies get like super powered, but they'll have this special aura around them. I don't know if the game tells you whether or not that they're like amped up or not, or what that aura even means. But you can just tell by looking at them, like, oh, this guy might jack me up, you know. And they start off with the little enemies being all jacked up. This is probably on some of the harder difficulties, but like just by looking at it, you can tell that this guy's, you know, I'm not gonna say like it's artificial, but it's like you can tell that it's gonna do some things that the normal enemies don't do. So I feel like that's a really good way of like maybe there's some visual indicator to be like, hey, this Nago's gonna be fucking crazy or some shit. Like, there's definitely a wrong
Oh,
and
yeah.
right, oof, definitely a wrong and right way to go about like balancing the difficulty. Like maybe instead of like making the Nago invincible or not having like the oh gosh, the blood rage thing. Maybe just
Oh,
make
and he
him
has
so he
super
like
guard.
builds meter quicker, or maybe like I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't really know much about fighting
Well,
game
his boost
balance, but
gauge does
I'm sure there's a
constantly
right way to
increase.
do it. What's that?
His super gauge does constantly increase throughout the fight. So
Ooh, and like at a
yep,
super accelerated rate.
yeah, even if he's doing nothing.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely not the right way to make that fight more difficult. I don't know. I feel like a lot of it goes down to like, because there is a right and wrong way to go about difficulty, and when you start doing things that the player is like unaware of or that go outside the established parameters. That's it. Established parameters of the game. Then that not only is that unfair, it also makes the player feel like they've been cheated. Like even if they win, it's like it's a bit of a hollow victory because you know, well, you may have beat that guy, but essentially that guy's a hacker, you know. And so the only way you could stop him was by gravity, you know. Like the rules of PvP aren't even a thing anymore. You just got to push him off a ledge, and it's like, well, that's not fun. It's not interesting. That doesn't engage me.
Yeah, and it goes along the line with the thing of you're playing the game because you want to have fun. So if you're not playing the same game anymore, it becomes less fun because you're not doing it in an engaging way. If you do it in an engaging way, it can work, right?
Oh yeah.
For like a different style boss, like a good example would be um, Annie from Skullgirls, because it's like, yes, she's a fighting game boss, but she's not a pre-existing character. She's literally like a monster boss, essentially. She's large and she doesn't get staggered during hits. So
Right.
you have to space your hits and do smart combos and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, figure out
That
like her
makes
attack
sense.
pattern, know where to stand and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense, but you can't juggle Nago, and even if you get like a nice 8-hitter, it's gonna do maybe 10% of his health.
Oh gosh. All right, so then it just becomes a spacing game, and like especially for a fast-paced game like Guilty Gear, like it's not Street Fighter. You're not supposed to be playing the spacing game with the character. You know?
No, well, you can,
Well,
but
solely.
it's
No, I mean like solely, because like you said, you can't juggle them, so you're just gonna have to like bait the range and try to poke them out, essentially.
yeah.
But
You can't burn him,
do
and
you
you
have a
can't do it.
point? I saw your thing flash, Revan. You got a point to make?
Not particularly, since I'm not well versed in the fighting genre.
No, that's fair. I mean,
But I do find all this fascinating to learn, though.
right?
It's I think honestly, the best example I have of like a fun fighting game boss is probably Inferno from Soul Calibur 2, because he literally just has like moves from almost every character. So once you learn what he's gonna do, it's really fun to adapt to it because you know all these moves work within the confines of the game, so they're not doing anything crazy. He has this one move where he turns into a helicopter for a second, but it happens like once in every blue moon or whatever.
That's dope as hell, though. That's like that's some really cool shit.
It sucks to get it satisfying though.
I'm sure
Um,
it does, but like, imagine like, oh man, I'm going toe to toe to this boy. He's pulling out fucking everybody's moves. Oh shit, is that a helicopter? What
Yeah,
the fuck?
and then suddenly he identifies as an attack helicopter.
No, really.
But yeah, it's a weird thing because like you want to make something challenging in a solo way, but it's hard without a person controlling him, right?
No, seriously.
So you can't just program an AI to act like a person and learn and stuff like that. You just have to program it to react to certain things specifically, and that doesn't get that hard. So they have to engineer ways for it to feel extra difficult, and it's not fun hard. Like everyone who does it, they're like, "Oh man, I'm glad I did it," but like, I'd never do that again.
Oh hell no, because it's not fun. But going back to what you said about like program the AIs, like I feel like there is a way to program the AI because it's never, but essentially it does boil down to, well, maybe not really. But the point is I'm making is like with the AI is that you can program it to be a way. It's like, well, player does A, so AI does B.
Oh
But it's just
yeah,
like,
no, but that's the extent of it.
well, no, I wouldn't say that necessarily. I'm not a programmer. I don't know, but I do know that like you can like program an AI for it to like not only do patterns but also make plans. So if player does A, he typically leads with Y. So that means I do X and Z. So AIs are capable of doing stuff like that. So maybe like instead of making the Nago like invincible or super just nutso, like maybe make him have like little plans or like have like stringers and stuff like
Well,
that he pulls out.
He does, but also Nago on AI is really bad because a lot of his combos rely on smart maneuvering. So
Ah, I
he
got you.
do
So
a
that's
lot.
a pretty difficult one to program then.
But there is one example that I think they did well with,
Oh
which
yeah?
is when he's in Blood Rage, his super is full screen, and if you throw a projectile, the Nago will automatically react with super and kill you instantly. That is a good way to do it. You know not to throw projectile when he's in that state. That's a fine thing to learn, right? Because a normal player could do that to you. That's not absurd difficult.
No.
That's just a Nago thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but the one issue you can't do with that, can't do with programming, is you can't make them learn your patterns as well. They just can read your inputs, so it doesn't really work. So if I do a combo where it like knocks them down and crosses them up, right? So I do
Yeah.
like a standing and then a crouching and stuff like that. They can't really like change their game plan and start blocking me immediately. But a normal player would just be like, "Oh, he's just gonna keep doing that, so I'll just start blocking it," right?
I don't
It's
know. I
chance
feel
that they
like
start blocking.
with that mindset, like you're kind of arguing for the point for like artificial difficulty to like be a necessity at some points.
Oh no! My point is I'm saying they're seeing these issues
Right?
and their solution is artificial difficulty. I'm not saying you can't program it. I'm saying that this is what they've done.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're talking from like the viewpoint of the developers.
Yes, the
Okay.
programming is too difficult to make make it almost feel like a person. So they did it in a way where it would just be hard, blanketly, not
I feel
necessarily
like
fun.
yeah, I feel like that is yeah, no. I completely understand that. Because if you're a game developer, it's just like time over effort. It's just like, well, we got deadlines to meet, so this is like the easiest solution for that problem. Yeah. All right. I got you there. Because it's always been my mindset, like with artificial difficulty, especially, is like it's not something that's ever necessary. There are ways to like circumvent it and make the game like difficult but still fair.
Mm.
But yeah, no, when you're a programmer and you're also a developer and you have deadlines to meet, yeah, maybe sometimes you really don't have a whole lot of options. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, and it shows with Strive because all they have is an arcade mode and online mode and nothing else. So yeah, it shows that they just didn't have enough time, so the arcade mode is just underbaked in general. But I have seen unfair bosses, or at least bosses that felt mildly unfair in fully polished games. So I don't know. I guess it's just a design philosophy thing as well.
I can see that. Like, I can see you're being very devil's advocate about it. Like, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about developers, like, because it's really easy to shit on a developer when you like they do something that's artificial in the difficulty. But on the other hand, it's like they also have like deadlines to meet, and they also have like hurdles to go over. And I think Gaijin Hunter said this. It's like it's a miracle that any video game like works at all. It's all
Yeah.
just fucking ones and zeros. Because I'm not
Yeah, it
like a
was actually-
programmer, so I don't know. Like, but I know it ain't fucking easy.
I was talking to my sister about her job the other day, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about like, man is crazy because we've been able to make universes that are literally based on ones and zeros that are based on electrical impulses, but some lady can't handle that someone made her coffee wrong in a drive-through. The duality of man is insane. I'm
Right.
just saying.
No, seriously. I mean, to be fair, we live in not only the age of information, misinformation, and instant gratification, but we also live in the age of short-sightedness. Like, a lot of people can't see past their own fucking nose. Especially these days where like it's all like, oh, I want some chocolate milk. I go down to the store, buy me some chocolate milk, you know? But then all of a sudden they don't have any chocolate milk. So he's like, I want to talk to the manager, where's my fucking milk? Like you fucking deserve that milk. Like it's yours.
Oh.
Like you own it.
As final thing about artificial, did either of you guys finish Sekiro?
No.
I
Shame to
did.
admit it, but no. I have not.
Did you finish Sekiro?
I did indeed.
Did you beat the Demon of Hatred?
It was painful, but yes.
Nice.
How did you feel about a different, like a almost Bloodborne-y boss design in a game that was not encouraging that gameplay for like the beginning?
It was weird at first because I wasn't for sure what was going to happen with him. But then I realized what they were going for, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I appreciate that they toss in something that makes you change up your play style. But throwing something like that at you without preparing you does kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like on a scale from 1 to like Guardian Ape, like how Guardian Ape is that fight? For me, like Guardian Ape was like a huge like, oh, I gotta just fucking rush this boy down. Like there's not a whole lot of like fucking block dancing I do that fight.
Like
Guardian Apes.
Right?
we're talking like first phase, because first phase is probably similar to
It is.
Demon of Hatred.
It is, but like I'm talking like phase 2 when he starts going like absolutely batshit and you have to
You
start
can
like
parry almost
jumping.
everything he does in phase 2.
I have had no luck with parrying him in phase 2.
We're talking about headless, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
'cause
because he
Headless-
absolutely destroys my posture meter. I'm like, I gotta just jump and dodge. There's no blocking here.
Oh, really? I could perfect parry. It just took a long time to get used to it.
So anyway, back to my question, Revan. Like, Demon of Hatred. Scale 1 to Guardian Ape. How Guardian Ape is it?
For me personally,
Yeah.
I'd say close to Guardian Ape.
Okay. I just want to know what I need to expect when I do that. So.
I mean, that's my personal opinion about it. Like, it can vary for you. Like, it could be much easier.
No, like seriously, like
It could be harder. That it's
some
hard to-
bosses that like gave me absolute hell. Like other people are like, ah, shit's fucking easy. I'm just like, oh boy.
Just don't get hit. It's fine.
Yeah, just don't get hit.
Yeah.
But what was the point you were making with the Demon of Hatred, Denny?
Where it's not quite artificial because the boss is fairly designed,
Yeah.
but it is going for something completely different in a game that has encouraged one thing all the way through. So just find that interesting. know some
How
people-
so is it different?
You can't. I don't think you can parry a single one of his attacks, and if you do, it's like super not rewarding because it like damages your posture and it leaves you open. Well, not open, but it like your recovery makes it the same as his recovery, so nothing really happens out of it. So yeah.
A lot of jumping and
know.
dodging then.
Yeah, a lot of people compare it to like a Bloodborne fight where it's like just big boy dodge and hit.
That's fair.
So
I mean, I was fighting
Fair.
Headless Bloodletting Beast a little while ago, and that's a boss in Bloodborne that's a bit like, what exactly were they thinking with?
I don't hate him.
I mean, regular Bloodletting Beast isn't that bad, but when he brings out the turkey neck and he starts firing those blood shards at you, it's just like, what the fuck?
Okay, well, I feel like that's generally like the thing that I wanted to bring to it is like natural versus artificial, and I think there
Absolutely.
are natural ways to do it.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
The only other thing I could think of is how Death Stranding handled difficulty.
Oh,
I really appreciated that. Preparation difficulty is a very cool way to do that.
it is.
Or it goes back into what I said about Monster Hunter. It depending on how much you prepare, it can make it easier or harder, which makes it a more engaging experience. And either way, right? Because if it's harder, oh man, I have to work hard. But if it's easier, you're like, oh man, I did such a good job preparing.
No,
So it's
seriously.
very rewarding.
No, and like that also comes into the whole online offline thing. Like you and me, Ben, we both played that online, and Matt played it offline, and like we would have such different opinions about stuff solely because like we were playing online, so we had the chiral network to lean on, whereas
Mhm.
Matt was playing offline, so not only did he have to prepare, he also had to like scope out the terrain and have like his routes like pre-mapped and stuff.
Mm, that's fair. Well, I guess that's my points. So, who wants to go next?
How about Revan?
No, okay, that works.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe my point will be the rewards you get for
Ooh.
the difficulty.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so it's always nice when you can fight like a super hard boss and you can be rewarded for that with like a gem, like in Monster Hunter, a gem, a plate, or anything like that,
Yeah.
and you feel accomplished for getting a certain like weapon or armor sets, or in Borderlands you get that one legendary weapon or shield or whatnot that you've been grinding for. But say for like the newer Assassin's Creed games, you can hunt like these special enemies, like the fucking in Odyssey you got the Cult of Cosmos, and in Valhalla, I don't even remember what they were called, but they tell you what legendaries you're going to get from them, and it just doesn't feel as rewarding because it's telling you versus the feeling of working to get it.
Right.
No suspense.
Yeah, so it's like the differences are the game just hands it to you versus working for it.
Oh yeah. No, it's always nice when there's a pleasant reward for the challenge that you have, and not just pleasant surprise reward. Because sniping a reward's always fun, but it's always more exciting when it's like, oh, whoa, I didn't realize I get this for doing that. Oh. That
No,
gets me super
seriously.
excited.
Like I feel like a really good game for this is Soul Sacrifice Delta, because like some parts on these monsters that you have to break are like, how the fuck do I get all the way up there? Or like, how the hell do I hit that consistently? But like with the way that the magic system works, is like there's so many different ways to approach a situation. It's just like, oh, I don't have the right spells. So you just kind of like beat the monster and it's like, okay, well, that only took me 5 minutes. So let's go in with the right spells, see what bip bop boopity bop. You break the right part, you get the reward, and you're just like, shit, that was awesome. And then of course you run it again because you're gonna need like 5 more of those so you can combine them together and make like an even better thing. But like just with a sense of being not only being able to know what you're gonna get beforehand, you're also able to see which parts you need to break. But you then also, on top of that, have access to so many different options to approach a situation. It's just a really good feeling when you have like the right combination. You get those breaks consistently, and you continuously get like the rewards for putting in this effort.
Mm.
Yeah, it's like for me the differences between those two is the ones that work you to make you farm for them feel more fun to fight versus the ones that just guarantee you're going to get that specific one.
Mm.
Right? Yeah. Well, when you're up against a grind, it's like I don't know. Sometimes I like the grind. Sometimes I hate the grind. But it is what it is a lot of the time. But when when you're going in there and just like it might be a crapshoot, but there's a chance.
Yeah, so I don't know if this counts,
Go for it.
but it's also just a thing I wanted to say. Um, I've been yeah, again, right? And I was like, okay, cool. I know what level I need to be to get XO1 armor to spawn, and I know where to find it, right? So I'm gonna get to the level and I'll just wait on it. And it's fine, right?
Right.
And that's cool. That's sniping for it, right? I know where I'm gonna go. I know where to get it. So I was like, I'm gonna do the Automatron DLC so I can get robots and stuff like that. So I kept going there, and I found a Master Lock one, and I had a skill point to spend. So I was like, I'll just go up to Master Lock picking, right? It's gonna help me get more stuff anyway. and I spend that skill point, and then I unlock the room, and there's a full set of Exo 1 power armor in there.
God damn.
So I got rewarded for just exploring a little bit more and like engaging the game in a different way. So cool.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
another thing is that being rewarded for exploring is also very nice as well.
Very Metroid-y way to do it.
No. No,
Yes.
exactly.
I brought up to Deluge yesterday about Metro Exodus and how they encourage you to explore the maps to find like better weapon upgrades and stuff for your specific character to increase like carrying capacity for ammo or Molotovs or
Which
healing
is
items.
in freaking Metro. That kind of stuff's a bit life or death, unless you're like super
Especially on
like.
the
I'll go
if
for
you're
it.
on the easier difficulties, you don't really need to do any of that. But on the harder difficulties, it's pretty much life or death.
No, seriously. Like I'm pretty sure on some of those harder difficulties, they'll like they're glass cannons, but you're also a glass cannon, so you have to like line up your shots. So you have to approach every situation with the right mindset.
You have to big think.
I want to say
Yeah,
big
especially
think. It's mostly it's a lot of mindfulness. But anyway, Revan, you were saying.
yeah, especially with ammo shortages and not that many healing items, so you have to really rely on like going to safe houses and sleeping and all that. And you have to really plan your routes out to know the safest places to go. Because when it hits nighttime in the Metro Exodus, it tends to get much worse because more of the harsher enemies come out.
Damn nocturnals.
Would you recommend that game, by the way? I've been looking at it.
I would definitely recommend it. It's fun.
Because I've been looking for something a little bit more gritty. So, you know.
What are the melee options like?
Melee options? Okay, so you can go through the game. So there's not really any melee weapons, but you can like knock enemies out if you sneak up on them or get a stealth kill on them if you sneak up behind them. At least the human enemies you can.
Right.
It's a little harder to do on like the ghouls and whatnot, the irradiated humans.
Right. Right.
So using like suppressed weaponry is always a good idea.
Well, I know in Metro, whatever the first one was called, was it the pneumatic weapons were kind of OP?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because those things were quiet as hell.
oh yeah. You do get. You can get like God, what was it? A crossbow.
Oh hell yeah! Why wasn't that in the first game? That would have been perfect in the first game.
Yeah, you get the crossbow closer to the end of the game though.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense because that would be like pretty much perfect
If you-
for any
yeah,
stealth
yeah.
situation, especially with the
Yeah,
whole
if
glass cannon thing going on.
You do get a specific. Oh God, I don't remember what it was called, but you do get a weapon in the earlier stages that does work for a stealth weapon until you can find a suppressor eventually for like your assault rifles, your pistols, your shotguns.
Shotguns. Oh, are there flamethrowers?
I don't remember if there was.
No. So there's no melee and there's no flamethrowers.
Not that I can remember now.
I'm not gonna play that game.
That's fair.
I mean,
just
like
selling
my
points?
two solutions to like not being able to shoot on the controller is like I'll just go melee, or I'll just use a flamethrower.
Oh, you don't shoot very well on pad?
I can't shoot for shit. I used to be really good at it, but I don't know what's going on with me. I can't like aim for shit anymore.
Oh, I wanted to tell you guys about something later, but that has nothing to do with the podcast. So,
Yeah, later.
I guess that also kind of goes into like being rewarded for optional challenges too.
That is
About
true.
like not really knowing what you're gonna get by doing the optional challenge, but you're kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna sign up for it. There might be something good behind this.
Well, this is Valley of the Yetis in Far Cry 4. That was a super cool DLC. That had a lot of that. Well, you explore and you find like weapon crates, and you find upgrades and stuff, and then you have to like go back home every night because you have to fight off all the cultists that are trying to kill you. So that's like, well, just going back to like Metro and like rewarding exploration. Like a big thing in Far Cry is exploration, but that's mainly so you could just like unlock pieces of the map. So, you have a map or whatever. There's not really any actual reward to it. It's just like a thing that extends the gameplay. 'Cause you could just like
Yeah, oh yeah, you have
dozer through the
information
whole
on paper.
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like with Valley of the Apes, it was super cool because you're like, well, you're incentivized to go out because you need better weapons or you need more upgrades in order to fight off all these crazy ass cultists there, and you have to be home by night every single day. So you're on a timer. So you have to like kind of ration out what time you're spending gathering like your healing items and getting better weapons and finding your upgrades and going around and conquering nearby strongholds so the enemies are less strong at night. And then you got to go back home and fight off the cultists. And who knows when this guy sleeps? I don't.
Hmm. Yeah. Any
Uh,
other examples you had?
oh
Evan?
yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't think so. I think I got everything I wanted across.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess that leaves El Dark Sozo Problemo over there.
I would say so. Do you want to talk about difficulty sliders at all?
Oh. Should we?
I
Sure.
mean, we can.
May as well.
May as well. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I usually play games on the normal difficulty because I feel like that's what a lot of modern games are balanced to. It's like the easy mode's too easy, the hard mode's too hard. Thoughts?
Oh, do you want to go first, Ribbit?
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, I tend to stick with normal as well. So I can also agree to those points that certain games easy modes way too easy, and certain games hard modes are way too hard. But it's always nice when you find that good balance of a game where all of the difficulties are properly balanced and it doesn't feel too easy or too hard in a way.
No, exactly. Like, I feel like a really good one is DMC 5 in particular. Hang on, I got some jackwagon, a fucking motorbike going around outside my house. Yeah, it's for you, motorbike, Bill.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's probably gone.
Well, because was it you have in DMC 5 you have the option of starting either on human or devil hunter, and then you unlock the other difficulties after you either play through on human or devil hunter, which is really cool.
Right.
But like every time you go up a difficulty, like you can start playing on devil hunter, which is what I usually do because I'm pretty familiar with those kinds of games and I know them fairly well. But you could also start on human. But the great thing about that is that you like level up your character. You get new moves and you get stronger. You learn the mechanics more. So as you're going through on like Dante Must Die or like on freaking Hell difficulties, you're just like, well, it's actually not so bad. Like, sure, the enemies have more HP, but like you have more options, you're more geared up, and you know your character super well. So you're just busting out these combos, and it's like it's not particularly difficult because you as a player get better, then your characters also get better. They get stronger, more abilities, more agile. I feel like that's a really great way to do it.
Right. Okay. Me personally.
Yes,
What?
Revan.
Oh, sorry.
Bobby.
Me personally, I prefer how Borderlands handles difficulty.
Oh, do tell.
Like leveling with your character. So like as you go up in the levels, the enemies do as well.
Oh, like a dynamic
And-
scaling kind of way.
Yes. And in Borderlands 3, yes, there's an easier difficulty and normal difficulty, which normal difficulty is just Borderlands, but normal wise, where easier is a little easier, but can still be challenging, especially when you're at the max level and playing on mayhem mode, which just makes things so much harder because enemies have like 10,000% more health, shields, and armor.
God damn.
Jeez,
But
Rick.
the weapons, but you get rewarded for it with
Oh,
the
absolutely.
mayhem, which are the best weapons that you can get in the game. We can get great weapons, shields, grenade mods, artifacts, and all that.
Shields?
But it may-
Borderlands?
Yes.
What? What? I guess I only played Psycho when I played 2. So.
I only ever played
That's-
Commando, so.
That's understandable. Krieg is more of a melee up in your face person, so that's understandable.
Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
But it's entertaining because sure the enemies can get harder, especially when you're playing on mayhem mode, because mayhem mode pretty much requires you to like optimize a build.
Right.
Whereas if you're not playing on mayhem mode, you can literally just use whatever points and whatever skill tree you want and just mess around.
So it's like a little more easy access. Like you can try things out, see what works, see what you don't like.
Yeah.
But on the harder
Next-
difficulty, you kind of have to know what you're going for and kind of understand the game a little better.
Yeah. So like whenever it comes to newer people that are getting into the Borderlands games, especially 3, I would recommend like playing through the entire game on the normal version, and then as most people who've played Borderlands know, the games go up to true Vault Hunter mode, which is pretty much New Game Plus, and then play through that, and then work on getting to like the max level, and then you can start tinkering with the Mayhem mode. But when it comes to Mayhem mode, it's recommended that you start at Mayhem 1 and then get used to that and how difficult the enemies are. Then you can go up to Mayhem 2, which is where you can start farming your first Mayhem weapons, because the Mayhem weapons go Mayhem 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10.
And so what happens with every level? Like, is that just like a damage and stat increase? Like, how does that work exactly?
It's pretty much, yeah, just that.
Just flat increases?
But the thing is that up until Mayhem 10, there's positive effects that you can get, and there's also negative effects you can get.
Oh,
And
they're like cursed blood gems.
Yes, like in Mayhem 10, there can be up to 3 effects. I think it starts off at 1 or 2 effects and up until Mayhem around 10-ish.
Okay.
And you can get like a loot explosion. So like if you get headshots on enemies, they'll explode and there'll be tons of loot and whatnot. But you can get a negative effect, like if you kill an enemy, the Grim Reaper will appear and you can't kill him because it's invincible. And if he touches you once, you you instantly go down. So
That is so Borderlands. Like, I shit you not. That's the most Borderlands thing I've ever heard.
But
Oh
there's
my
also Mayhem level
ahead.
11, which, okay, so Mayhem 10 has 20,000% increases to health, shield, and armors, but Mayhem 11 has only 10,000, because Mayhem 11 takes away any of those positive and negative aspects, essentially.
Right.
And so Mayhem 11 is the more safer route to play,
Gotcha.
but if
gotcha.
you want a real challenge, then you can bump it to Mayhem 10. But even though you're on Mayhem 11, you can still farm for the Mayhem 10 weapons and
Alright.
gear.
Well, that's especially good for the player, especially if you're like, I want the best stuff. Or you're like, I just want stuff that's good enough, and I don't want to have to put in a crazy amount of effort.
Right, like Borderlands tends to always be very good when it comes to farming for stuff and whatnot. Like they did lots of different end game stuff that you can do. Like there's the invincible enemies, there's like freaking challenges that you can complete.
The game just oozes content.
Yeah, like in 3, there's 2 different takedowns, which are very good for farming for stuff. There's trials that you can do to farm for gear as well. And then there's different invincible enemies spread out through like the DLCs and whatnot that you can go take down. But yeah, all in all, it all depends on the player and how they prefer to play their games.
Oh, absolutely. Like, was it so the Killing Floor 2? Like, the difference in health from playing on normal mode, like, when you, like, of the enemies, it's only a 25% difference from normal difficulty to Hell on Earth. But there are so many other factors in between those difficulties. Like, on Hell on Earth, like, the creatures get more moves, they do different things, they have variants, and they spawn in different places, so you're more likely to get pincered, rather than, like, you becoming an absolute glass cannon and them being bullet sponges. So there's a slight increase to health, but it's more like how the enemies come at you and how you have to like adapt to dealing with them. But that game is also just so fast paced. I can't play it anymore. Just can't keep up with it. That's a whole nother thing in itself. But I feel like it's a really great way to balance the game. So you don't necessarily make things like crazy, stupid, like bullet spongy. Just you change how the enemies like come at you and make the player have to adapt to not only like slightly increased health, but also like differences in terrain and have to be wary of other things the enemies can do.
Yeah, shock surprise. It's not always about sliders,
Yeah.
developers.
Ba da ba da.
Wow.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I feel like my biggest take on like the difficulty slider in general is I don't like it anymore. But like I totally think it's okay if it's there for other people, right?
Oh no,
But the main
absolutely.
thing is intended difficulty, right? So if a developer says this is our intended difficulty on the one, I know they try not to include that because it makes it like some people feel bad because they play beneath that. It's like it just didn't work up to it. It's fine. But
Right, like with Wolfenstein, where like the easiest difficulty, the BJ's wearing like a fucking binky and has like the bonnet, and then on the hardest difficulty, he's all covered in blood. He's got this crazy ass look on his face, and he's like, I mean, you feel like a little like a fucking twink if you play on easy difficulty. You feel like a man, like I'm a real man. I'm playing on extreme.
well,
You
I
know,
feel like they kind of missed the joke when people got upset by that because it's like it's a
it's
joke.
satire.
Like
It is
it,
absolutely satire, and I mean, me personally, I was never offended by that. I played through the whole fucking New Colossus on easy mode. Didn't fucking give a shit.
yeah, no, totally fair. But yeah, because I got so used to just jumping in games that I didn't want to worry about sliders anymore, right?
Yeah,
So I just whatever the intended difficulty was, I'd slap it on there, and if I died a lot, I died a lot. I
yeah.
didn't care.
No, exactly. Like, no, even like Far Cry 4. Like, I remember when I slapped that all the way up to extreme. I'm just like, yeah, this is worse than malaria. And I slapped it back down to normal. I'm just like, all right, let's roll.
Is that
Yeah,
one of the subtitles for that?
no, it's Far Cry 3. It's like worse than malaria because in Far Cry 2, the main character has malaria, so sometimes he'll seize
Yeah.
out and stuff. So
And you gotta go out and get pills to calm it down.
yep,
So is
yeah.
there gun
Far Cry
jamming in
2
two?
was like, oh man, that game was something else.
It was.
It was really good. Far Cry 3 is
saw
still
it.
my favorite, like hands down. Far Cry
Love it.
4 is really good, but anyways, enough about Far Cry. You had something you were saying, Benny?
Oh, mostly intended difficulty.
Yeah, yes.
And there was something you brought up last night that I think is interesting.
Me?
Yes.
Ooh.
So I think, and this is, I don't know how to not sound ableist here.
I'll go for it.
But
My
I-
feelings are ready.
I do feel like it's okay for a game to not include an easy mode, and it's like if you just say, but for the handicapped, it's a more complicated issue than just adding.
Oh,
modes.
absolutely. No, absolutely. Like for that, I feel like the tools for them to be able to experience the game the same way a normal able-bodied person would should be accessible to them, and they shouldn't have to wait 10 years for it to be on PC for them to be able to adapt the game to work for them. That's mainly what I was getting at with that.
That's fair, because like, I mean, I think we've talked about what Miyazaki's quote on it, right? Of why he likes the Unity.
Yes.
because he liked that everyone goes through the same difficulty,
Yeah.
just in different ways. So they could be like, "Oh, you did that? Oh, that's cool. I did that." So it's like, it's a very relatable experience because everybody went through the same challenge, maybe not the same way, but they're all on the same level.
Oh,
Everyone
exactly.
is equal, and that was what's cool about it. So I prefer that way of doing it, being like playing on intended difficulties, because it really feels like I did the thing I'm supposed to do, but in my own way.
No, and you're absolutely right. Like, with Dark Souls having like the whole class system, and then also like in Demon Souls there being like so many options after you beat the first boss. Like, if I like want to run a faith build, then well, I'm going to Valley of Defilement first. But I don't know, if you're running a strength build, maybe you keep going through Baltarian Palace. Like, it's not a big deal. You know?
Yeah. And one of the biggest takeaways I have is like game design, because like with how FromSoft does their games, sliders is not. You
The
can't
only
just be like, slap on
slider
slider
in a
and change
FromSoft game that matters is the brightness slider.
audio sliders matter.
I guess you're right. I was like just trying to make like a blanket statement, like they don't need a slider.
Yeah, no, I get your point.
Yeah.
But hmm. Did you have something to say about it, Revit? I'm sorry.
How versed
Uh,
are you in the Dark of Souls, Mr. Revan?
I am somewhat versed in them.
Which ones
Like
have you played?
I have played 1 through 3.
Oh, really? What did you
No.
think of 2?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, cool.
That's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, no, that's it. I
That's
have
it.
yet to find somebody that like I personally know to be like, yeah, no, Dark Souls 2 is garbage. I find all these rando pandos on the internet being like, this game is garbage. The only people that think the game is garbage are people who haven't played it.
Most likely.
That's just how most gaming communities are. There's always those select few people that are always going to just hate on a game just because they can.
Oh, absolutely. No, and that's just comes with the territory. Like, you know, you can piss off like I don't know, like middle-aged whoever the fuck's with like suit and tie, but like you piss off the gamers, they're coming for your ass. Like Blizzard found that shit out the hard way.
Oh yeah, I mean, then again, Blizzard deserves it, so that's
Yeah, we don't forget, we don't forgive.
Well, I mean, no, this is off topic, but you guys know if Riot went through like the same stuff but almost worse, and they're fine, just because they like covered it up by working on it and like just being not a terrible game company as well.
Well, to be
Blizzard did
fair,
both.
the reason the shit with Blizzard was so prolific is because like it's been going on for a long time, and people have been on Blizzard for a while for their shady practices and their bad decisions.
Riot happened in 2018.
Right, but that was more isolated. Like Blizzard's been continuously doing the same shit for like 10 plus years.
Yeah, they've gone
Where
through
with like
what,
Riot,
2
I was
different
like,
CEOs?
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, that whole Bobby Kotick situation is interesting. to say the
Very,
least.
very
It's still
interesting.
going on, which is amazing.
Is that boycott still happening? Because I know some people like not the boycott, the strike. I think that strike's still going on.
I'm pretty
My
sure it's-
boycott's still going on, except for Diablo 2. I may hate Blizzard, but I love Diablo 2, so
Well, it's like, I mean, it's easy for me to like boycott Blizzard games because I don't play them in the first place.
yeah.
But,
No, seriously. Well, yeah, no,
it does-
no Overwatch. Never played WoW, but I love Diablo 2.
It does suck though because I do love Overwatch. Overwatch is a very very fun take on first-person shooters.
It
Yeah,
is. No, it is, and the maps are also anyway. We're not here to talk about Overwatch.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like the whole like everyone deserves to beat a game thing is, I'm gonna say it. I think that's not true. They're like, because like a lot of everyone who beats difficult games, they didn't deserve to win it. They earned it. They
Exactly.
worked to win it.
No,
I
and
get
you
it
were
if someone-
absolutely right.
Yeah, and I get it if someone has a disability because like that's out of your control. Right?
It is. It is, and it sucks. But well, life isn't fair sometimes. Like I know that's kind of callous to say, but in reality, it's like, well, then maybe just play something else. There's a bunch of games out there. You know?
Yeah, and it hurts to say because I get that because it's like
Right?
if I did see this really cool mod though that someone made to a DualShock. It's just like an overcase. You put it on and you have 2 triggers in the same spot, right? You just extend your finger a little bit. You can press both triggers on
Oh,
one side,
That's really
and
cool.
you set the controller on the table to move the other stick by moving the whole.
That's actually not
It's-
bad. That's actually really cool. And it's just a normal DualShock, and you just slap that over it.
You could probably put that on new controllers, so it probably wouldn't even be that hard to fix or replace.
Hell yeah. Now
That's
that's the
awesome.
kind of innovation I like to see.
Yeah, and it's not over like, don't make overcomplicated, like unless they have like like they're really disabled, right?
Yeah.
But don't make some like super overcomplicated, like priced machinery for people like them, because it's like, just make something that would be accessible to them to use and accessible to them to fix, and you
Oh,
know,
Exactly.
'Cause
Like,
all they have
well,
to do is replace the controller and put it on there.
when it comes to like control schemes, like a big thing with Miyazaki in particular as a developer is like the control scheme has to make sense to the player. That's like his big thing. Like that's one of his like 5 rules of game development. It's like the control scheme needs to make sense to the player. And I mean, after playing through a lot of his products, like I come to realize like yeah, his control schemes do make a lot of sense. Like maybe not so much in Bloodborne having the run, roll, and jump button all being the same button. But in Sekiro, they're super streamlined and they're very responsive. Like it makes sense. It feels good.
Yeah, I wish Ghost was easier to pick up. Because yeah, even though Sekiro kind of doesn't make sense at first,
Yeah.
if you do it for a little while, it just clicks immediately.
No, seriously, like
There's games
after
like-
I started playing DMC more, like the jumps, I get it. I get the jumps now. Like going through like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, you don't jump a whole lot in those games. There's not any jumping at all, really.
Which
So,
is fine.
yeah, no, it's just totally fine because those games are super grounded and the combat that's just what it was at the time, and that's super fine with me. But like Elden Ring
Did I?
with the jumps, oh my god, Elden Ring with the jumps, like oh my god, like oh
I
my god.
Ever tell you guys what a friend told me when I asked him if he'd get Monster Hunter?
What'd he say?
What do you say?
He said, "Did they add a jump button yet?" And I'm like, "No." Then no.
Yeah, they did. It's L2 plus triangle or circle. That's the jump button.
Rise.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, wait, just tell them to play Insect Glaive. What do you mean? Did they add a jump
That's
button?
what I did. He's like, I don't know. I don't think that counts.
That's
Alright,
fair.
buddy.
I mean, you can jump off ledges.
Sword and Shield has a jump. You just have to hit the monster first.
Bow has a jump.
It's
Oh, Bo does have a jump.
more of a hop and a skip, but yeah, this
Yeah,
is technically a jump. Yeah.
It was a jumping attack, but yeah, still.
It's I count it as a jump because it can cause a mount.
Amen. Amen, my brother. Is this
Okay.
sweet Monty?
So,
Yes.
I have one question.
Oh, go for
Going
it.
around to everyone, and I'll go last.
Okay.
Alright, so that means you're up
Um,
next, Revan.
No.
Haha.
If you
Anyway,
want
what's
to,
the
if you want
question?
to, I can go first. What do you? So, what is your best case for difficulty game-wise? Right, a game where you think is difficult, but it does it in a very fun and engaging way, to where even though it might suck at first, learning it feels extremely.
You mean like an example of a game that does that?
Yes, for you. 'Cause
Um,
obviously, it can be different per person.
Honestly, for me personally, I would say Dark Souls 2, but a lot of that has more to do with user access, like me looking stuff up and being like proactive in like my routing and stuff. So Dark Souls 2 isn't actually a good example for that. So Revan, you're up. Then I'll go with my answer. Then Ben can finish us off.
Just pass the torch, okay?
I need time to think.
Just,
Buying time.
just feel like, yeah, I might have an answer, but I'm gonna pass the torch real quick and think more. about it.
I'm gonna go first, Revan. Just let me know.
Okay, so I guess I would have to stick with what I previously talked about would be Borderlands. I find it to be a kind of perfect balance because it's built in a way similar to how Dark Souls is, but not super difficult unless you go out of your way to do.
Yeah, player choice.
Yes.
That's super fair. All right, so I've had some time to think. It's also a really good example, Revan. I'm not too familiar with Borderlands, but from what you tell me, it sounds like they kind of mastered how to make it not only accessible but also rewarding.
Yeah, like they built the game to just be fun.
Hell yeah. No, and at the end of the day, that's all we want from a video game, right? Got to be
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, did it get the rise problem then? Did you get people complaining about like it's not hard enough anymore?
Honestly, I don't think I've never seen anyone that's really complained about a Borderlands game ever being not too difficult enough. I mean, there
Oh.
was some issues with 3, but that was just mostly because people weren't a big fan of good old Rainy Pritchford, but that's just how it is.
Oh, yeah, I've heard stuff about that, but I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't.
All right, I got one.
Aw.
It's
Okay.
Hades. Mainly because not only do they walk you through everything, first of all, being like, hey, it's your attack, this is what you do, these are things that buff you and stuff. But not only it's a roguelike, of course. So, but it also doesn't make you feel bad for dying.
Dying is actually really fun.
It is, because you get to go home, you get to pet your dog, get to chit
You
chat
talk to your
with
friend.
Achilles and stuff. You get to go hang out with the ghost bar. It's like, no, it's like, but you still want to go back out there and you want to be like, I want to see how far I can get. I want to kick that stupid girl in the face, you know? So
you
that's
know-
my answer.
I know exactly. Like something that handles it in a way where it's like, holy shit, that was so hard and I died so early. But then it's also like, oh, but hey, I'm back and I can like buy some stuff. Or
I mean, it
upgrade.
only took me 3 runs to get the Valkyrie, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's just that. She's not that too rough. She's not too rough to get to after you kind of figure out how boot stuff work.
Right?
It's like it's the later things where it's like, oh, there's new mechanics. It's not
Oh,
just
absolutely.
hit and dodge. So
No, seriously. Is there a difficulty slider in Hades?
kind of. I think it's normal and story.
That's totally fair. No, because
Yeah.
some people just want to know what the story is and play through. I feel like that's a pretty acceptable thing to do.
Honestly, I think that's probably my preferred way to do a difficult later. Just make it to where it's like, hey, let me enjoy the story, or make it the unified game experience, right?
No,
'Cause either
because
way,
like,
same
well, the
thing.
game like that has like a legitimately interesting story. Like, yeah, like why should I have to like slog through and then like give up halfway through and then never know how it ends? You know. It's also really good at encouraging people to play through the whole game. Maybe they come back and they play on the normal difficulty.
Yeah. Do you have something to say, Revan? Because you kind of like chimed in there.
Bop, bop.
I was going to just say that Monster Hunter also does a good way of that, except for the story thing, because not all the stories are that enticing for people.
True.
Yeah.
But I would say if they did make a more enticing story, then they could probably go that route. But then again, they'd probably get backlash from the community as well for adding in a slider like that.
Oh,
Well, to be
absolutely.
fair, they've already played around. Well, sorry, in leaks. Okay, I know this is bad. Don't talk about leaks and all that. But there was a leak from a dude who's been 100% right so far and reputable before that said that there might include a skip the G rank thing. So now I don't know if that means it's a button and just be like play Sunbreak, or if it's like an armor set that lets you skip the game.
I hope they do it like it's a special license exam, but it's got to be like a pretty difficult quest. Like,
That would make a lot of sense for it to be
It
that.
would.
Yeah.
That would be fun for second characters.
no,
That's what
like really.
that's what they did for low rank to high rank. Just have you do those specialized quests.
I had no idea that existed for so long.
Same.
Yeah,
I did one, and
go
I was
through-
like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you just go through the entire village, and then you can just do those special license quests, and then you can just immediately go into the high rank stuff in village hub.
Which is cool.
I feel like that's meant for like solo players, because I feel like if you're playing with friends, you still want to go through rank, because you want to get all like the stuff. Like, isn't there some like quests that give you items in low rank hub?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you want to, like, a big thing of low rank in Monster Hunter is you building up the canteen, building up your supply chains, getting more buddies and cats, and also farming up points, which isn't incentivized, but it's something you should definitely do. Which is what I did.
No, I will agree with you on that. That's a fun way to like. Honestly, I think it's okay to do it that way.
Oh, seriously.
Especially beneficial for second characters, because if someone's like, I just want to get back into high rank. I'm just gonna beat village and skip it. Right.
And that's
That's
well,
a
it's
good
totally
way.
acceptable because you have to go back and like do all those necessary quests anyway if you want to like level up your canteen.
Yeah, I feel like if work is involved, I'm okay with the skip, but work has to be involved because
No.
that's still earned something.
Yeah, don't just skip the G rank and you get like free G rank weapon and free G rank
You're
armor.
gonna
It's
die.
like that
You
kind of
have to
defeats
farm
the purpose.
objective.
No,
What's it-
I feel sorry for people. Jesus.
What's like? I mean, I played the game a lot, and I still had to go back and farm low rank stuff. Imagine being someone who didn't farm low rank weapons of anything, right? Or just did defender or something like that. You have nothing. You have to go back and do the hunts anyway.
Yeah,
So it's
kind
like,
of it's self-defeating, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Well,
It's like,
also,
oh, I got all the way to fucking the G rank. Look at me, and it's like, oh, I don't have anything. Now
I feel like
back to low rank.
I think that's actually the way to do it, because defender, you can actually beat Volcana with defender gear. Keep
Oh yeah, I've seen people do it. That health boost is just oi,
just weird.
just oi,
Ugh.
just oi.
Was I getting somewhere?
Yeah, you're talking about Volcana and defender armor.
I think it was before that.
Oh,
Oh,
you're
good
talking about
examples
the
of,
G rank
of
skip.
difficulty.
Yeah, that too.
I think mine would be Sekiro.
Oh, that's actually a really good choice.
That
Because
is-
it's the hardest game they've made and the easiest game they made at the same time. Because once you figure it out, it is the most satisfying game to perfect something in. Just the well-tuned, like, yeah, it's simple because you don't have multiple weapons, you don't have to set all that much. It's just deflect and stab, right? But that's what it's trying to go for. It's not trying to be another Souls game.
No.
And that ogre, oh my god.
Oh,
Being
the
able
first
to
one?
come back, yes.
Yeah.
Being able to come back after learning the game and just killing him in like 2 tries, or even just 1 try, feeling that reward of spending so much time in that game to learn that difficulty, but like now it just comes naturally to you. You feel like you're sword fighting. You feel like you're conquering these things. It's the most empowering combat I've felt in a game ever.
No, absolutely.
Loving Monster Hunter's combat so much, right? I just wish I loved the rest of the game more. But still, it's like, you know, I think I just think it falls flat with story, but it doesn't matter. But difficulty-wise, I think it is the best tuned. And I used to think Ishin was like artificial difficulty, but once I like broke down the fight and actually like really spent time fighting him, oh my god, that's one of the most rewarding final bosses I've ever fought in a game.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, I haven't fought him, but I've seen people fight him, and like, a lot of the things he does is kind of bullshit, but it's definitely not artificial.
It's learnable.
Exactly.
It's so learnable.
Like, well, you know what's super cool about Ishin is that he'll throw, like, you'll do a thing and he'll throw out like the Mirakuri counter and stuff. Like, I don't think there's any other enemies in the game that do that.
Owl. I think Owl does it.
Does he? Okay. But still, like, I really like that he still uses those established mechanics and he uses them against you, which is super cool.
Yeah. He's not breaking the rules, he's using the that's such a cool way to handle air quotes artificial difficulty. Because it's like it's the game playing it like you're playing it instead of the game playing it like it has before.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
Oh man. But no, for real. That final boss was just being like, we're gonna throw everything at you in the kitchen sink. But it's everything that you've learned, but now you just have to apply it all together at the same time. Wow. Well, I don't even think it's my favorite boss in the franchise, right? I just think that is one of the most rewarding challenges because it was legitimately, unironically, super hard. Like, that's, like, damn.
Oh, good example is like Sekiro is the fucking study guide, and then Ishin's like the final exam.
Yes. 100%.
Nah, that's super cool. I like that.
Yeah. Just, yeah. I really should have asked this question first, though, because, like, doing negative after positive. But, you guys have a worse example? Like, a game that just felt so poorly tuned. Like, really just not fun with how it handled challenge. Even if it's just you.
That would be Far Cry 4. Like, it falls into the whole glass cannon to bullet sponge category. Like, if you put the game at the hardest difficulty, you will die in 1 hit, 1 or 2 hits. But the enemies will just eat clip after clip. I'm just like, that's not fun. I don't find that engaging. And you can shoot a helicopter with like a freaking anti-material rifle. It just eats it. Helicopter just eats it. I'm just like, helicopters are supposed to do one thing and one thing only. Explode.
No, that's fair. That's fair. What do you
For me, I guess mine would also have to be similar to Deluge's. It'd have to be the more recenter Far Cry games. Not 6 though, but like Far Cry 5 and New Dawn.
I did play a little bit of 5, but it felt like GTA. I didn't like that.
It went too much in that
Kind of sandboxy direction.
Yeah. New Dawn wasn't really much better because New Dawn felt more like just a DLC instead of like a full-fledged game where you had to, like, there were tiers of enemies, and if you didn't have the same tier on par of weapon compared to that enemy, then it's just going to be a bullet sponge.
Same thing would happen in the Division, where it's like, you gotta go through this thing with like 3, 4, 5 gear score, and if you don't have that, these guys one-shot you, and they take like all of your ammunition to kill.
Yeah, that's pretty much how New Dawn is. 5 is in a way similar to that, but you can pretty much use whatever. but on harder difficulties, it's still going to be a pain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's when like the slider becomes like self-defeating at that point.
Okay, so this one kind of hurts me to say, but I'm just gonna say I think I don't like difficult. It can be very annoying sometimes. It's just I think it's because it's hit or miss that makes it so upsetting. Because it's like it's not even just bad; it's like good and then it's bad. So you'll have like a really positive experience, being like, oh, that was a really cool way to handle a fight, right? By having you move around and like avoid placement. Because I actually really like the Mechanist DLC boss fight. Because yes, it's just hordes of enemies, but then there's floor traps that you get like sound cues because like the person like the Mechanist is saying do this and do that to like the robots that are setting the traps off and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's very fun being engaged, being like, oh, I gotta pay attention to what they're saying now. Okay, like you move around, and that's super fun. But then it's annoying where it's like getting hit once by a legendary raider who has the same gun as a non-legendary raider and it doing like almost 75% of your health. It just feels kind of rough comparatively. I don't know. It's weird,
No, that is
especially
rough.
when they're surrounded by raiders. Because like it just one bullet should not do that much. I feel like it should be more about how the enemy acts. Because the
No,
enemy acts
seriously.
identical
Yeah.
to a normal raider.
Well, when it comes to like that difficulty slider, especially in first-person shooters, I feel like Metro kind of takes the crown, is the king of that. Because you might be a glass cannon, but like so are your opponents. So I feel like that
Yes.
1-to-1 is so much more engaging. Like even if you're on like the easier difficulty where like you can sponge a few bullets, but your enemies aren't necessarily bullet spongy either, even that is still way more, I don't know, engaging than like, oh, well, you see the thing is they die in one hit. Like, oh.
Yeah, and like I think Ghost of Tsushima handled that in a similar way, where enemies die in like 2 hits and you die in 1, no matter what it is, basically.
So you gotta be on your toes.
Yes, and you can not die because if you have 3 resolve.
Ah, really, you can get back up and you be like, beat your
Yeah,
chest and be like, you
that's
ain't
it.
taking all my cookies today, monkeys.
but yeah, it's frustrating because like if you run into a Deathclaw, it's like there's no interesting way to deal with a Deathclaw, in my opinion.
No,
Right?
there's two ways. You either have a mini nuke, or you have a stealth boy.
It's I don't know. I guess I'm saying combat wise, it's not interesting.
Yeah.
Stealth boy is like, oh, this is how you cleverly avoid the situation. You just use a tool to get out of the situation, right?
Yep.
But combat wise, I don't find it fun because it just hits you and it just does a lot of damage and it just takes forever to kill and that's it. The most fun I've had is doing the juking that I said earlier, right? Just like sprinting around a Deathclaw and like trying not to die and like dodging hits and stuff like that. That's engaging, but there's only one way to do it that I can find that's engaging.
That's
I
fair.
don't know.
Well, it's like
either
those moldy boys from Resident Evil Biohazard. Like they have like attacks and stuff where like swing their arms. You can just like crouch and duck under those attacks, and you can come up behind them, blast their heads off with a shotgun. Like that's really cool and really engaging. Like you also have the quick turn, so you can just quick turn and sprint away from them. So there are a lot of ways to like engage with those enemies. I know it's not like 1-to-1 with like a Deathclaw, because a Deathclaw's like a way more imminent threat. It's faster and it's a lot stronger, but like it's still in that same like ballpark of like how you engage with an enemy.
Yeah, and I wish VATS was stronger against it, or at least had more utility against it. Because,
Talking talking Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, bats in general in Fallout 4 is kind of nerfed.
It's just auto aim, which
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
much less than what VATS is supposed to be.
Exactly. It's like the I call it what's it called, bullet time basically. Except you're guaranteed the hits.
It's even worse than 76.
Is it?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because instead of slowing time down, it's literally real time, and it just auto aims you onto a specific body part.
Oh, like highest to hit.
Oh, it is an online game, isn't it? I forgot about that.
Yeah, since 76 is an online game, you cannot slow time down when using VATS. So the person is it can be either an actual player or an enemy NPC and whatnot. And oh my god,
That's rough.
the
That's
changes
just
they
rough.
made in 76 was just weird in general.
Has that game gotten any better?
It's in a better place. I wouldn't say it's better.
I guess that's fair.
That is fair.
But yeah, I wish there were more meaningful ways to do VATs. Like, oh, if I can get enough damage on their head, they can like lose vision and have a harder time following me. Or if I have a weapon that does enhanced crippling damage, I can cripple them not quickly because you don't want to make it like I don't need a one tap of Deathclaw. But Deathclaws are scary. They're supposed to be scary. But it's just like I have added 50% damage to limbs on my rifle, right? And like it feels like a pea shooter to that an individual. I can kill him faster than I can break his limb, and that's weird. So
It is. That's just how difficulty is in Fallout 4. It's odd.
It's not quite hit
Yeah.
or miss, but it's not quite good either.
yeah, I'm
so-
gonna go with the first one. Go ahead, sorry.
It's like in certain cases, it can be rewarding, but in most cases, it's just kind of either not good or it's just eh.
Which I think is what makes it more upsetting. Because it's like, if it was just bad, it'd be like, it's just bad, move on, right? But it's like, there's so many good things in spots where it's like, why couldn't this just be the whole thing?
No, seriously.
Why couldn't you tune this like the rest? Like, what the hell?
Like, I'd say a good example of the difficulty being interesting would be when you go to Far Harbor.
I haven't played that yet. Is it good?
It's one of the better DLCs.
Oh, you can tell me more. Go ahead.
So just the story for it in general is very fun, and depending on which faction you side with in the main story can also make a difference in how you can play things out in Far Harbor.
You mean like Fallout?
Yeah, I know, crazy, right? But like, if you side with the Brotherhood, you can do a Brotherhood thing in Far Harbor. If you side with the Institute, you can do an Institute thing there. Railroad thing. I don't think the Minutemen have anything they can do in Far Harbor.
To be
Like-
fair, if you're a Minuteman, you have that sexy general's armor, so that's reward
True.
enough.
Like, there's these giant hermit crabs that put themselves in like trailers that trucks carry.
That's cool. I like that.
And you know, like how certain crabs like put themselves in shells and walk around. These ones put themselves in truck trailers and walk around.
Which is super cool, because you see hermit crabs like IRL, like some of them like live in bottle caps, some live in like tin cans and stuff. Like the fact that they can adapt, and not only that, but also be giant crabs too. That's super cool.
So we're talking like
Mhm.
Mirelurks?
No, these are actual crabs.
Yeah,
What?
the hermit boys, just big old hermit boys.
God damn it. There goes more of my money.
There was, oh god, I don't remember what. There's a couple of unique enemies in Far Harbor that are really well designed and interesting. One of the hardest enemies in the game is in the Far Harbor DLC.
Oh. Good. Oh, I did hear about some interesting enemies in New. So apparently there's gorillas, but they're zombie
Sure.
gorillas. So they're
Yes.
gorillas.
Yeah, they're ghoul-like gorillas, and there are Deathclaw alligators.
What?
Oh. Wait, what?
They're alligators that share the same skeleton as Deathclaws.
But that's what a deathclaw is. The mutated alligator.
It is not. It's a lizard.
Isn't
but,
an
like-
alligator a lizard?
So is it like a Godzilla situation where it's like it's a made up dinosaur being mutated, or is it like an actual lizard that we know?
For Deathclaws? Oh god, I'd have to. So I know Deathclaws are from FEV trials, if I remember correctly. They're based on chameleons.
Oh, okay. Wait, is that
Oh,
why
that's-
they can turn
Deathclaws are
invisible?
based on chameleons. That's why. Yeah, that's why some can. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the
All
worst. That's the worst.
I
type.
thought they were alligators. So that explains the some of them. A stealth. Are they called stealth claws when they can turn invisible?
If they aren't called that, Bethesda, fix that.
Immediately.
There are certain death claws. I think they're called chameleon death claws, which is
okay.
kind of
Not
weird that they're calling a
Well, chameleon's also just a term for something that blends in, so.
true.
Is it? It's a term
Yeah, that's why we call chameleons chameleons. Because they can blend in.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Weird.
name's not based on their genus or their, the branch of the evolutionary tree they fall under.
But yeah, that's basically what I've been experiencing. Difficulty-wise and all that, I've been enjoying. It's like one of the main things that's like super rough about it.
But yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about the Red Death. That's funny.
Red Death? The Red Death
That's
Claw?
it's called the
Oh.
Red Death. It's a special enemy in Far Harbor.
Oh, what does it do?
Extremely terrifying. I don't want to ruin it because I want to see
So,
Ben.
What it
one
do
day.
is it makes you shit your pants. Got it.
Yes.
Cool.
So you're saying is don't look it up and go fight it when I fight it.
Okay, I mean, if you do look it up, we'll laugh.
Say that again?
If you want to look it up, you can. But I will laugh if you do.
Why?
You'll find out.
Oh no. Okay, now I have to look it up.
Oh God.
Here we
What?
go.
I mean, do you think I should look it up?
Nah, just go for it. It's amazing. I love the Red Death. Many ships and whatnot have died because of him.
Now he's being built up.
He really is. But you'll learn. You'll learn that it's not so much true.
So small.
It's a baby Mirelurk that just has glowing red eyes.
Ah, ah.
He doesn't do anything. He's so harmless. He just causes
the Red
shipwrecks because they get distracted by the red eyes.
That is hilarious. What they should do is take that boy, put him in a lighthouse. Boom, problem solved.
He's so cute. He's just
Oh,
a
yeah.
little boy.
But the fog crawlers
Oh, what are those?
really it's hard to describe. Like they look like they're praying mantises in a way,
Okay. What?
but they're so weirder looking.
Like praying mantis scorpions?
That's probably the best way you could describe it.
I got you. Well, those are two like highly predatory insects, so it only makes sense they'd slap them together.
Ah, what is it? What? Ah.
Oh, they're mutated shrimps.
Oh,
Oh, they
okay.
do kind of look like prawns. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a version of that's one of the hardest enemies in the game.
That's super cool looking. Would you want a picture?
Sure. All right,
Yeah,
so
like,
we're coming up on like hour 20. We want to do closing thoughts.
Yeah, probably. Because we
Alright,
got
cool.
off track. Too.
Whoa, that looks sick as hell.
That's
That's so cool. Like, oh my god.
oh yeah, the entire Far Harbor map is completely foggy, and that thing can just randomly appear.
That's awesome.
What? That's
Like,
like
oh,
Does
yeah.
it make like
Big
cool
one.
armor?
I don't think so. No.
Monster thing, dude. You're...
Well, you can make like armor plates out of Mirelurk shells and stuff.
No.
Really? I can rip off a synth's face and wear it as a helmet.
That's because they're wearing armor.
Oh.
Yeah, synth armor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
synth armor.
okay.
Yeah, they
Never
actually wear
mind.
armor.
There
Top
there
their-
goes all the cool crafting, I guess. Alright, so difficulty, closing thoughts, gentlemen.
Well, I guess one way to close it off is like, what do you want for like game design difficulty-wise in 20?
Ooh.
I
I guess
mean, difficult but fair. About sums it up for me. Like if a game wrecks me, kicks my ass, I don't care. As long as it's difficult but still fair.
That's fair.
Is
I
it?
would go. I would go that route as well. But if people want to just play the game for the story, then maybe have a story slider as well.
No, that's also super fair.
Yeah, I feel like the conversation we had about it makes me more into the story thing specifically, just because that's a good way to look at it. But I don't think adding a bunch of different difficulties is really the way to go about it. I think you should make an intended difficulty and tune that really, really. And I'd like to see more developers do that, or at least have an intended difficulty. You know, just tell us what the intended difficulty is, because that's how I play games. And I feel like a lot of other people use that way too. I feel like that'd be a good way to do that. Non-slider wise, just developers, please try to just avoid making it all about the values difficulty wise, right? If you're gonna add an extra difficulty mode, maybe add more moves, different ways of the AI functioning, not just more health, more damage.
No, seriously.
Right.
That's probably the best solution, especially in a situation like that, is rethink the AI. Don't give it bullshit outside the box mechanics that aren't actual mechanics.
It's not
More like inconveniences.
yeah, values aren't good difficult. I'm just gonna say that.
All right. I think that brings this episode to a close. Special thanks to our guest Revan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys had me.
Indeed, I'm glad I had you too.
For Borg, Revan guesting, so you know, just putting that out there. I said I didn't stumble. It's fine. Go ahead, Lush.
All right. Well, my name's Deluge. Guys, Benny. You can find links to his stuff in the description. Links to Revan's stuff on the screen, of course, right now. Click on that link. It'll take you somewhere real fun. And as always, remember why you started.